Welcome all. I'm your host, Sully, and once again, got another special guest, music artist, Ly Vui. How are you?
I'm good. Very busy lately.
She hails from Michigan, raised
Yes, I was
by...
born in Michigan, but I'm based in Austin. I lived in
Right.
LA. I've lived in
I've
New
had
York.
pals in Michigan, family, fodder for one, but yeah, we actually just went to the Ann Arbor area for a family wedding. That was
Nice.
But yeah,
I don't really
you're a
remember.
Lansing gal, and now you're here in Austin, Texas.
Well, I was there when I was a little kid. I don't remember a single thing. I just like that I was born in Lansing because I'm a singer, so, and many things. I wear many different hats.
You've gotten into dancing and graphic design as well as filmmaking, and
Yes, all the things.
why does most of it all gel? Why do you
I think
you have this fearless leap into all this different material?
Well, in today's day and age, it's very useful to be resourceful, and thank God for YouTube. I grew up learning how to do things on
so
YouTube.
Much better than all the sham colleges. Just like...
Not to age myself, but I mean, there was Prodigy, and I do remember the dial-up days, but you could still search stuff on the internet, and you could still be in a chat room and ask somebody how to do something. And so I taught myself how to code when I was really, really super young. Right? Like I grew up with when computers were being made. I know I've missed a window.
Was that before or after you got into computer science in college?
No, that was, I was a kid when computers were being built and made. Gotcha. I mean, so like there was no, Apple wasn't the same Apple it was today. It was like a black
not
DOS screen. So, that's what they taught us back in the day. So I look younger than I am. But we're not going to talk about how old I am. And then, so then from there, wanting to, my parents, I grew up as a restaurant child, and I watched my parents be very resourceful, and we didn't really have anything. So and my parents didn't support me in my art, music, or, they let me do it because I would be really unhappy if they didn't. But they also are very Asian, or were very Asian about it. And they didn't want me to, they wanted me to be a doctor or lawyer. So anyway, I had to teach myself all these things.
So either way, very strict, but
yes,
they gave you permission to do it, but they weren't going to give any extra time or money. There's like, hey, okay, by this time you still got to come downstairs, do your homework.
Yeah, I still had to teach. I had to take math courses and all this stuff, but extra, like more than
everybody's
a normal kid.
Favorite math.
But I had to. So if I wanted a CD cover, I had to teach myself how to use Photoshop. I had to teach myself how to write a song. I had to teach myself how to use MIDI, like in the early stages of MIDI, where you had to like turn it and screw it in. You didn't have an interface to put on your desk and plug in USB. This is like way before then.
Right. People are going to listen. They're like, USB, what's that? Yeah. It's like, you nerds.
People know what USB is, but you had like back in the day, you literally, it was the way the connector was made. It looked like a big bulky printer connector, and you had to screw it on the back on both sides. Anyway, so I had to, luckily, gratefully, my parents let me work at the restaurant at a very young age. And I had cash, so I could go to the music store and buy stuff. So yeah, I had to teach myself everything from graphic design. I basically was just my own little tiny business at a very young age. Taught myself how to code, built my own websites. I had more than one. I still do. I come up with ideas all the time, but the only thing that stuck is my production company, just because I love to do it. And I have clients and I build websites for them. And a lot of them are artists and musicians. And when I lived in LA, I worked with a music producer. So I learned a lot about the business. I didn't take it in school, though. I did study. I only one class away from getting my audio engineering certificate. But yeah, so, but you have, even anything you do, you have to teach yourself. So I taught myself all these tools and skills so that I could be a self-sufficient artist, musician.
This is really neat. So just straight on out, you already noticed some barriers that you had to cross, and then at the same time, like very little time, for typical kids where we can just BS and keep to ourselves, goof around, and not worry about the future. And you pretty much got a head start where you're just like, I already got to think about what I want to do, and it's not going to happen overnight. So I already got a plan, 20 years in advance, basically.
I did, but I had I had money problems in the last probably 10 years. Luckily, the first song I released with Dead Hello, he and I won an award. That was the first song I released, and we had I went to red carpet and everything. I was really grateful. I know I'm real big into manifesting. But I was already, I'm not going to say my age, what I consider, what I thought would be my prime. And I had already, I was married and divorced, but I was still making art. I was still doing productions while I was married. And that proved to me, I left him for several reasons, but
I'm sorry you had to deal with that. That's similar.
It made me stronger, and it made me realize, he didn't really support me. I wanted him to be there on set and do all the things too. And I see these couples and they're so supportive of each other and they're power couples. And I wanted that, but I did it all on my own. So when I went to LA and I was single and divorced, I was like, I really can do anything. If I just put my mind to it, if I stick to it long enough. But yes, I was an 8-year-old I'm not telling you when, but at that time, and I was calling music stores. I was like, why do you think people are not taking me seriously in music? That was like me at 8.
It does stink though, because there are some kids that are smarter than the average bear, and then there's others who are on the right path, but and convincing others that you're more mature than the typical foolhardy kid is just so kind of stressful, because you're having to kind of just let others know, hey, I get it. I'm in on the joke. I'm just because I'm a kid doesn't mean I want to do kid things. I want to actually,
Well, I felt, there are kids that like to play music, and I feel like kids this age are so lucky. They can connect on the internet. They can teach themselves even more. They don't
know how good they got it.
Yeah, and there's I'm not gonna advertise this app, but I haven't personally used it, but I was dreaming of an app that you just sing into and then MIDI will convert it into an actual instrument. And they have that now. I'm like, I've been wanting this for so long. It costs a lot of money. And I'm like, should I?
Wouldn't that be wild if
I buy a guitar or buy
some other company promoted it, and then talent scouts go on there and basically go on their no talent.
Well, I mean, if you're writing a song and you make up your own melodies, that's a hit song, basically. If people like it.
There you go.
So that's all you need. And that's what a really great songwriter is. I personally cannot read music very well. But you want to put yourself around people who are more talented than you. If you're the smartest in the room, then you're not in the right place. You're not going to ever grow from that.
Exactly.
When I was in my band working on my EP, I felt that way a lot of the times. They're very intelligent, and I feel like the work that we are going to put out, it's not out yet, is quality.
Mm-hmm. And you noted how your music is also it just comes from your spirit. That's where you find it.
Yeah. So you do your research.
I'm not gonna ask you stupid questions like what your favorite color is.
I don't know where they come from. I like to also say they're from the ether. And so it happens a lot. And lately I haven't been waking up in the middle of the night to record the song, but I'll get a whole entire song, beat, melody, and everything. And it can be in any genre. It can be from classical to pop to, sometimes there are even songs from another country that I don't understand. That I don't know where they come from, but a lot of my songs get written in the shower, believe it or not. And
you're the fifth person who's told me that.
It just comes, or I'll start to hum
you're
something.
Thinking about all these other things while you're pretty much, just trying to do a simple chore, personal hygiene thing, and then you're just kind of. It's interesting. It's just when you're doing all these other productive things, just all these other creative ideas come to fruition. But it is interesting in that not only is it sometimes uncalled for, but it's the best kind of improvisation where you're just like, wow. Now I need to write this down, but I still gotta finish.
I recorded on my iPhone memo
Oh, nice. This is smart. That's great.
Lots of more successful songwriters than me do it too, and it's really fun to know that their process is very similar to mine. I didn't copy it from them; it just came naturally. When I was a kid, I would press record on a tape recorder, and again, my parents weren't very. They didn't pay, actually, honestly, for me to go to music school and everything. So the reason that I can't read music theater or play an instrument super well is just my fault. I didn't really like practicing as a kid. I liked the performance part of it. I liked writing melodies down. I liked the lyric part of it. So learning how to put a song in a key is the way I can communicate. That's pretty much as and tempo. And when I find somebody talented enough to play with me, then I have a song. I also write very easily when I'm driving. So songs do come to me driving.
Do you ever drive like a bat out of hell when you hear a good jam and gets excited?
I have had an art teacher in high school. We were at a red light or something, and I did music then too, and I was booking gigs on my own at cafes. Not like every weekend, I wish, but there, I could only go so far before my parents would kill me. So, it'd be like 2 blocks down the street, there'd be a cafe. And, anyway, so he was laughing at me because he's like, I saw you jamming out and like, you were like bashing your head and stuff. I think it was probably like Telanis Morissette or something.
Nice. So you currently got 2 songs. Fighting Love was kind of cool because I was just getting a real just 90s kind of
really
rock vibe, and Somebody to Love was, I think, your first one that you did with the band Dead Hello. And
Somebody to Love is the rock song. So it is the song that we had the drummer David Hidalgo Jr. So his dad was the senior, was in the original band with Social Distortion. It was a really big band back in the day.
Big band, and yet when you oversaturated, then it's hard to branch out again, and then other people sometimes want more of that, and you don't necessarily want to do more of that. So it's a lot of just
putting someone in the corner. Hardware genre, I don't know. I just and I'm just grateful that we had someone so talented to be on it, because it definitely helped. And honestly, I used my real name. So if you go to my website, you can see my real name on there. But they taken it down, I guess, because they couldn't fire me or whatever. But we did win an award. It's real, and I have it on there. We were the red carpet. I've posted it somewhere online.
Nice.
So that's the very first song I released, and it got noticed. I'm really grateful for that. And now I have my EP, and I've been holding back. I've sang it on Instagram and stuff, so I haven't really kept it under wraps. But nobody's heard, like, whoever follows me, they haven't heard the real full versions of the song with the whole band. So I'm very excited. I have one more song on the EP, and I have to fund it. So I am right now trying to figure out where that's coming from. I haven't put down a fundraiser because I don't like the rules that come with it, or I want to do what
ridiculous. If it doesn't get fully funded, they'll still get you don't get to keep what you did earn. That's ridiculous.
So yeah, I am trying to. I have gotten into debt, but I'm getting back out of it. Anyway, yeah, I have been funding it myself, but I have a job, and then I also have clients. So every time I get a new web client, it really really does help. Thank you, y'all. Yeah. So I'm working my way, paying to the next song, and my producer lets me break up the work so that I can pay him as we go. I'm so freaking grateful for him.
Where did your former band, The Lucky Love, like where does that name come from? I know you guys had to break up because
well, we didn't really break up. Josh wanted to leave the band to pursue other musical endeavors, and the original, I guess, people in the band was my drummer and I, and we were in another band, but I got tired of being a line producer. So, I thought, since we're not actively playing gigs and I don't have a whole marketing, I know what I want to do in my mind, but I don't have a whole marketing produced yet. Meeting every Sunday didn't make sense to me. Band practice. And there were a lot of people coming and going in the band like it was Grand Central Station. And then I was paying for everyone just for gas, very small amount to come to band practice. And a lot of times they wouldn't practice because we didn't have a show. And I noticed when we had a show, those people, the new people would practice. So, and then people were coming and going. So I was thinking, well, it's part of being in a band or just being managing a business, same thing. Like if you have something you're releasing, people work their ass off, but if you're not releasing something. So I just learned that you need to, I needed to hold back my funds and that I needed to just wait till I had a gig. So I'm like, you know what, let me finish the EP. And then once it's done, I can make an EPK and then I can get everybody back together or new people, whatever it is, and just do for hire. So every time I have a show, we'll have a goal.
All guaranteed.
And then hopefully we'll book show after show after show. And I don't really want to play every night. I can't. I have a full-time job, but honestly, when I was in LA, if there was a band or even in Austin, but I don't really go out that much here, although I could. You just don't want to go see the same band every night. So I don't see why people would want to come out and see me every night. So I don't want to oversaturate. Like we're talking about saturation. The same area, Austin's so tiny. Maybe we could play outside the lines of Austin, but so probably play like once or twice a month. I think starting off, we'll see what happens.
That's a good point. It seems like many will either, I've seen a similar thing with like comedians. They use up all their material and now they got to go back and come up with new material because they wasted it too much by overplaying or putting themselves out in the open. How do you just keep it all together?
Me and my best friend on a weekly basis, we do accountability. So at the beginning of every year, we write our goals, and we've been doing it for the last 4 years. Oh my gosh, we're maybe longer than that, honestly. I've lost count. When we started, we both were broke as AF, and now she's like she's bought a house. She has people renting it, and she's studying to be a lawyer. She also does act. That's how we met in Hollywood. She doesn't live in Hollywood anymore. And then I have this full-time job I'm very grateful for, and I work from home, which I've always dreamed about. The accountability really does help structuring your life and planning. So if you want to reach any goals, and definitely not where I want to be. I don't have any Emmys, no Grammys, no Oscars, but I will say I have worked with people who are Grammy nominated, etc., all the things. You think about where you want to end up. So if you think that you want to live in a mansion or whatever, you visualize it and then you write. So what are the ingredients that would make up your life? How should you structure your day? And I don't overdo it. Like I'm very minimalist when it comes to reaching my goals. So I might have 5 things to do that day. Every week to reach those goals. When I do my weekly, ideally it would be on Sunday, but we don't always make that Sunday. So we do a weekly review, a 6-month review, and then the end of the year. And then when we started the whole process, we did a 5-year, a 2-year, and a 3-year. I've screwed up my 2 and 3, but and a 10-year. Sorry, somewhere along the line we added a 10-year, and all my goals really match my 10-year when I do an end of the year review. So and then it's amazing how we've checked off all kinds of things that we wanted to do. Like what number I wanted my credit score. It was 400. It's not that, like, that's the lowest I think you can have. It's pretty darn low.
What goal setting do you recommend for those looking for those, statistics? Anything that
we just
you
write it down.
Particularly recommend for others?
When I first got divorced, I had a life coach. I've had several since then, and that's really what catapulted me. So I can't think of her name. She's amazing. Yeah, if you can find one that you gel with, and there are so many options now. There used to not be any. So even if you go on one of those work sources, can I name a brand or is that like wrong?
Yeah, whatever you got. Yeah.
Okay. So if you go on Fiverr, there's one that I even found, and she's like
for those
super.
who don't know, that's a client hiring site for anything from book editing to website building.
So I've worked with her on and off, and she's just $30 for an hour. So, but it's good to get out of sight of your head. And I also work with my bestie on a weekly basis and a monthly basis, and like I said, half the year. And so we do talk about our goals, our challenges, and reading books. I love Lewis Howes. I'm a huge fan of his. He had nothing. Mm-hmm. He lived in his family. I don't know if it's his parents or sisters' guest house, and I lived in my sister's guest house after I got divorced. So I kind of relate to that. And he had nothing, and he built himself up. And so any book he reads or any guest he has on, I highly recommend it. But my friend and I my bestie started to read books together, and that's really what shaped our future. Warren Buffett, he spends the first part of his day reading books. So if you can make yourself do it, you'll change your entire life. And gratefully, one of the first books that kind of got me down this path was I narrated a book, and it's a nod to Carnegie Hall's book. And
nice.
It's an amazing, good first read. And then from there, just there's so many books.
What kind of reading in general do you typically recommend others do? Because, everyone's sometimes will only do the kind of reading like that truly interests them.
Right.
And then they don't ever expose themselves to material or flesh out why they do or don't like certain things. They kind of just accept or reject instantly, blindly.
Well, I think if you want, you're going to have to change as a person. If you want to, it doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow thing. And what we discovered during this journey, my best friend and I, is that it's painful. Like for some reason, our brain just wants us to stay safe. And like, we hate doing the things that are good for us because of our upbringing. So just like a simple example of that is like washing dishes. So we learned that self-love is success. So being clean is success. So making yourself read that book because you always wanted to open an origami shop. I'm just making an example. Right. Make yourself read that book. It's going to suck because you hate doing that task, but you have to make yourself. And so what I recommend is to try to find someone that is successful if you can't find a mentor, and we didn't have that luxury at first, but as you go along your journey, you will meet people and they will magically become your mentor, but you have to get started. So that's the first part.
My father always told me growing up, like when we had just gotten done with a class, whether it was high school or college, he's like, did you learn something or did you just do the work? And I thought that was pretty intriguing because, yeah, it is kind of interesting with some stuff. It's like we might know the answers, but we're getting too distracted by whether or not the professor's great at their job, or maybe it's boring because it's too easy and we want to challenge ourselves more. It's just interesting how so many you can tell right away who wants to be productive versus who wants to just complain and not really.
Well, sometimes, honestly, for me, when I work out or when I was married, I would go on walks, and I lost so much weight going on walks every day, but I complained the whole freaking time. So it sucks. Change sucks sometimes. It's good for you. I know exercise is good for us, but I hate you have to trick me into exercise. If we're going to go walk to eat cheesecake, I will walk 5 miles to go eat cheesecake, and you just have to trick me. So there are little things. It's just basically, if you want an end goal, it's sometimes it does suck going that direction, but just make yourself freaking do it. Because if it's good for you, do it. And if you have someone that you can you look up to that is successful. So if there's, for me, I have many people. So I have broken up in my mind. This person is successful in money. This person is successful in entertainment. So then I'll have a discussion with my bestie, you know, they're successful because, and then I'll implement what I think, because I forgot his name. His name is Tim something, but he makes Quest bars. He's the CEO, or he sold his company, I think, of Quest bars. But he says success leaves clues. So that's why you want to find people who you admire, and you can research them and try to mirror. And the great thing about the time and place where we're at right now is we have the ability to research anything. So I had an entrepreneur tell me the reason why I don't have money is completely my fault. And it's true, because there are people out there, there are women out there that I've met selling stuff on Amazon, just making gobs of money, you know, just selling home goods or whatever. So if you do the research, do the work, and put in the time, you will get the results you want. And along the way, you'll need to be resourceful and reach out to people that you look up to. And I have just reached out to people in the industry, entrepreneurs too, and you'll be surprised when they answer. Right. And it is a mindset. So once the first person answers, like, oh, of course they want to work with me. Of course. So you have to change that mindset. Don't expect failure every time. And if they don't reach out to you, you don't want to work with them. Right. If you cancel a meeting and they yell at you, you definitely saved yourself from working with somebody you don't want to stick around with. So just know that if it wasn't meant for you, it was never meant for you, and you're going on your path, and don't quit, basically.
So again, that's a mouthful. That's great. And it's so balanced. How would you say, so again, you got both a written out and mental checklist that you do, and kind of
it's just a to-do list, very, very simple. And then I ask myself if it matches the 10-year goals. Does this match my 10-year goals? And if it doesn't, I shouldn't be doing it.
Exactly. Spare yourself.
Yeah, it's very, very simple. But, you know,
save your time, save other people's time, save the effort.
I will go out of my way for a friend. And if I think, you know, but this is fun, or this feels fucking good. Sorry, I don't know. Can I cuss on this podcast? Fuck. This feels really good to do. I will do it. So if it means, like, if my friend needs me to run an errand for her or whatever, I'll go do it. And if it has nothing to do with anything, I'll do it. But that's the only time if it feels good. And it's good for everybody. So I'm real big into win-win situations. But if it takes up way too much time and I don't feel like I'm benefiting, I will cut back. I did build a website for my friend for free because she wasn't in the best place, but she ended up paying me. So yes. I'm grateful for that, actually. But that's the last time I've ever done a website for free. I always charge something. I have decades of experience, so I shouldn't just give it away for free. I'm that person that walks into the room and touches that button. They're like, oh my God, we've been trying to find that button forever. And I'm like, yeah, well, you know, when you have decades of experience, you'll know what button to press. It just takes time. So
that's very nice.
So yeah, I do the weekly thing, and then if it doesn't match, then I have to really decide whether or not it's, and I think a lot of people should do this, because then you wouldn't complain to your spouse or your partner or whoever, you know, because if it feels good, then you're winning. Like, you're doing that for you, and you shouldn't complain because you already made that decision that you would do it. So when somebody says, oh, thank you, you know, you didn't have to. Well, no, I wanted to. And that feels better to hear friends say that than, well, you know, I felt like I had to, because that's a different feeling. It's not coming from.
Right. It's becoming that person was a hassle.
Yeah. Because when they could have just easily asked someone else that wanted to do it, they would have done a better job. So
do you think a lot of people just aren't good at being discreet or watching their words?
I think that lately I've come across people that
they'll vent and they'll be honest. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. I'm like, well, but you shouldn't have said that anyway.
They're not honest with themselves, so they don't know what they're putting others. Out. Yeah, they're not sure what they're putting out. I think it takes time, a lot of time.
They're letting all the stress build up and wearing too many hats without really knowing themselves or their persona.
Exactly. And it's okay to go through that and know, but like it's the self-evaluation
or they're
of
being a
life.
producer, so therefore they're like, well, much like a boss, that gives me the right to be a dick. And it's like, no, that's not at all what that
Again,
means.
with those books,
so many great books.
One of the books I read, the Zappos book, he's passed away now, Tony Hesh, I think that's how I say his last name. But he's a great example of how to run a company, how to be a leader. He brought camaraderie. And I that's my model. But my parents taught me that too. My parents are really great bosses, especially my mom. She taught me from a very young age that if you're good to the people that work with you, they'll be good to you. And that was so important in the food industry because you don't want employees, and I never witnessed it, thank God, people spitting in food and giving it to you and all that shit.
Yeah, but you hear those, I would hear those rumors.
But that's because my mom was a very good nurturer of the environment. And
that's good.
So you want that. And I try to build when I have a production going on, when I have when I shot one of my most favorite, we were in NoHo, North Hollywood. It was a very small crew, but I did have sound. So we used a boom mic, I think, and I had a camera operator. Anyway, the guy filming said that working with me was like a cool breeze. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it was a fun day. The weather was so great, but yeah, so that's stuck out in my mind because I want everybody to be that happy. Like we're all here doing what we love, expressing ourselves through art. We might as well have a good time. It doesn't have to be this stressful thing. It never has to be. If you plan it or you're really good, I honestly have to say, a lot of my clients and friends say that I'm really good at controlling my emotions, but I think it's just because of trauma. I don't react right away because I'm usually just shocked by what people say, and then I'll react later. But I've found that's really helpful, like to not freak out in the moment. Mm-hmm. I'll just be like, let me just think about this, or let's find a way. Like
it's better. This is a terrible idea. Let's find out how we can reshape it as a good idea.
Yeah, instead of like just
right, reject instantly when people were close to the end of the finish line, but they just didn't state it the right way.
Right. And people are in their emotions at that point too. So I think what really helped me is, as a young kid being at the restaurant, people just come in angry and hungry. That really, really helped shape how I work with people in the best way. Because once they ate food, they were happy again.
You can actually think and be normal.
Right. So going back to what you said about people just not knowing, people are in their emotions too much and inside their head. Mm-hmm. I think people need to communicate their honest truth more often and not worry about what people think, because in the end of the day, you're going to attract the people that are meant to be in your life. And that's so much more important than just having random people be your friend who don't really value you, or even having clients that don't value your time. So,
so my father has done web mastering, and you've done your share of various graphic design and everything.
Also webmaster. Yeah, that's
what would you feel, since that's another industry where, I mean, kind of like I do security, so it's a similar thing where people have to either look at the numbers and keep hiring certain people, or they, of course, they see how they can simplify things, and then they find that there was kind of an increase in people doing their own webmastering once they learn the tricks of the trade. How do you, it's really hard for people who do their own self-consulting business to just kind of also still remind others, hey, give me a shot, I can stand out better than the rest, and I'm exactly what you're looking for your growing business. What do you recommend for others who are trying to actually work on their sales pitch, but it's not quite there yet either?
For me, most of my successful clients, all my clients now, I did try to do the cold calling thing, and
the elevator pitch alone is not easy to do.
It didn't work for me. So because I've been doing this for decades, all my clients are referrals. And I had my first referral last year, didn't work with me. So that's a record. She broke my record, but that's okay.
But at least you filtered it out. You didn't have to do all the outdated trends.
And it was really a low price. I don't charge full price. I charge what I think will close the deal. And then when they go shop around, this is really where I corner it, is that I know today's what rates are. So when they go to someone, 2, 3 people, 5 people, I'm still the lowest rate, and also the person with the most experience.
So you make more overtime charging.
But that's, again, it has to be with the project that I love. So if my friend is making like an EP, and I have a few of those, that's so exciting to be with my friend on the journey when they're making. I already know what that's like, and so it is a win-win-win-win situation, because we are learning from each other. Even though I have this knowledge, they are better at music theory and all these other things. I don't try to convince people. When they say no, I just let them leave, and then they usually come back.
If we want to be convinced, I'm just kidding.
I don't have a sales pitch. I just say, hey, this is with everything I do. This is who I am. If you like it, you can work with me. If you don't, then okay, bye. But look at all this. Look at all these. I've worked with billion-dollar companies. I've had millions. I mean, when I worked at a corporate job, I had clients with million-dollar portfolio assets in real estate. I worked at all these every single production house in LA making movie posters. Like, I have a really nice, neat portfolio. I don't have to put it all online. I have a lot like experience. So if you don't see the value in it, I can't really. And then when I talk about the price, if you don't want to be my client, there's nothing I can do to help you at that point. And when you talked about people who want to webmaster their own stuff, I do let my clients, I do teach them. So I have more than one friend tell me I teach people how to fish. So I will teach you how to fish if you want to learn. I really enjoy it. And I do include it in some of my packages. I do include training.
Right.
And I really get a lot of joy when my client's light bulb turns on. And I've trained IT at my corporate jobs, hundreds of people, if not maybe over 1,000 people. I don't know. I've lost count, but it's definitely hundreds of people I've taught. I teach
something to put on your tombstone. It's just like trained 12 people, and they actually
when the light turns on, that feeling is
just a great reward.
Yes, it is. They're like, oh my God, they got it. Like, and I've literally had someone grab me on my shoulders in a computer lab. Like, I know why you love computers. I'm like, yes, it makes your life easier. Just to, like, before my parents did a point of sale system, I think I've seen that happen. Like, slowly my parents didn't want to have, they didn't want to do the paper to digital, but when they started to do digital, everything was a lot faster, better. But my dad would literally, even when we had computers, he was handwriting a lot of the stuff that's just an example. I don't want to put my clients in.
I get it. You're not trying to generalize, but I know what you mean. Especially post-COVID, like there were so many who were doing all kinds of just like digital is the only way to go. No one wants to hand each other paper.
Yeah, so I loved what happened during COVID as far as digital life is concerned, because it forced a lot of restaurants, a lot of my clients to, like, they finally understood why I wanted to use Dropbox, and they lost their paperwork, and they couldn't find things. I'm like, that's why I file stuff. Look how neat it is in Dropbox for you. And so I do that speaking of digital organization, I do that for all my clients, just so that if they lose any emails, they have it all in one spot, and it makes my life easier.
That's a good thing you say that. My sister's at this one like city council job place, and it's so funny how many jobs kind of go by kind of what private clinics do, where they're required to keep certain records for like 10 to 20 years or something like that. And at this particular business, like they got all these records. They're not sure that they need them, but they just got them in one of the, miscellaneous garages just in case, that rare occasion that they might need to pull a file and everything gets digitalized.
Yeah, we scanned. I didn't do it. Someone else, thank God, did it. He went through all our files. He shredded a bunch of stuff, digitized everything. It was so great, and found that we only needed to keep things for X number of years. So they don't have to keep things indefinitely, especially the paper could be scanned.
The average person typically still has to work, again, a 9-to-5 job to pursue their real passion. What are tips and tricks that you recommend for others who want to make their main goal their main day job, but haven't had that opportunity yet?
I'm doing mine full-time out of fear, and I have had some friends on the path. They would just reach out to me because they've seen how long I've been doing this music thing and this acting thing. And they've been on cover magazines. The advice they gave me, the reason why I'm not doing it full time is because I'm not spending my time on making money. I'm really big into law of attraction. I think that just because people are successful, again, if it's meant for you, it's meant for you. So, the reason why is because I just didn't have the money to invest. After my divorce, my credit tanked. I think that it's about structuring your time and asking yourself that question. I think that's the best advice I got, and also from reading, does it match your 5-year goals? Does it match your 10-year goals? And if you have an answer, then you're going the right direction. If it's a yes, it is matching it. If no, then how much time is it going to take you? Because if I'm basically at the point where I am spending, a lot of time at work. And then I'm a very loyal and dedicated worker. So I'll spend more time than needed sometimes with my day job. So it's about managing time and not burning yourself out. What my bestie and I do is we do allow ourselves rest days. And I could have kept working after work, but I took a nap before we talked because I do have to go to film something later.
Oh, nice.
So we're going to be up really late. So yes, take advice to people who are more successful. Yeah, it would be great to make millions. I already have 3 songs. And if I die with those 3 songs written and with all the music that I wanted to express from my soul come out and see it come to life. I don't have any kids and I don't have a husband, but I do have a family of songs and I want to see them come to life and live in the world. And
it is interesting how kind of like we have our personal possessions and people don't understand how when we are talking about our material is like, well, all bets are off now. It's not just our baby. It's also our material that we not only own and is part of our brand, but we are more than just happy about it. Like, even if it sucks, there's still a side of it. And it's like, yeah. I own that. I was in that.
Yeah, I helped birth it. Yeah. I don't, honestly, with each and every song, there are some songs I love others, even though there's only 4 of them.
I'm editing someone else's podcast. And every once in a while they were like, tell me if you think it sucks. I'm like, I think you're doing a great job. So what are some other like factors we can use for when we get into that inevitable point where like you're on a group project, your friends are distressed with it because it's not the way they want it. You think it's acceptable, but you got to convince them, hey, you're just too close to this. It's not bad like you're making it.
Yes. Oh, that's happened so many times with my websites, with my clients, with my work. You tend to hate your art when you work on it and you look at it every day. So allow yourself space to step away from it and work on something else. So I have so many projects I can kind of step away and then get back to it. A friend that her recommendation that she tells everyone is to go for a walk. And that helps.
Right. And at that point, you're not even exercising. Now it's just clear my mind.
Just make yourself do something else. Go to the supermarket. Don't keep pounding at the wall. The hole is going to get bigger. I just made that line up right now, but yeah.
Let's just pretend that's been your motto. That's your.
Well, I have lots of those. But I have another friend that calls me a fortune cookie because I come up with these.
Wow.
It's a Leeism. But yeah. So yeah.
As long as they don't mean it as a slur.
Just wax poetic because I'm a songwriter. I think that's my answer whenever they say that. But yeah, your mind needs to take a break. And that's another thing I do at work is I don't make myself take breaks. But if you're coding something especially, you need to just step away from the computer. It'll still be there 2 minutes. Nobody's going to get mad if you go for a stretch for 2 minutes. Nobody, you'll be thankful that that's why I think when you take a shower, the water running, it puts you in a different space environmentally.
Heat, all that. Yeah.
You're in a different environment. It's a relaxing. So when you're trying to manifest things, when you're trying to just have a flow of consciousness, it's when you're relaxed and at ease. And you could be thinking about nothing, and that's when the stuff comes. That's when the manifestations become a real thing in your reality. And
you think a lot of people don't observe what their current reality is. They just spend so much time daydreaming in between.
There's a long conversation about this that I just watched. I can't remember the guest on the show, but basically, I don't know. Should I go here on this podcast?
No, please. As long as it's not derogatory, go for it.
Is imaginary. So some Neanderthal decided, okay, we need to live in I don't know. It could have been a woman because apparently the first ape ever existed was Lucy, some African ape or something. I'm forgetting the location. Her name is Lucy, and that was anyways, somebody somewhere, could be aliens, decided we need to have this construct. The money is fake, our titles are fake. We are living in an imaginary world because we could have easily invented a cohesive world where we don't have to pay money. We could just wake up and live life. And I am going to shout out my friend, my bestie, who has a book, and that's how she built the reality. It's called Scandinavia, A Feminist Utopia by Lizelle Gutierrez. It's sold on Amazon, by the way. Oh. And but in that book, the reality is that people volunteer to work 10 hours, and then the rest of the time you can do art or whatever the F you want to do. I love it. It's a utopian thought. And so we don't have to, this construct is real, and just because we see it as our 3D reality every day, but what you thinking of yourself a certain way and me thinking like that can change tomorrow. If somebody for 10,000 hours told me that I was a business suit wearing person, I could easily be brainwashed. I'm not saying that I'm easily brainwashed, but we are.
You're getting the disclaimers out of the way. Yeah, like whenever I'm labeling something a certain way, I always, for instance, I'm not gatekeeping, I'm organizing, I'm a librarian, I work
exactly. So
and like, it's cool that you're doing that because you're just like, hey, no trolling here. Listen to what I gotta say, and points A, 2, and 3, and you just literally just put them all out there before you flesh them out more.
But yeah, I think that about fashion, everybody's like, oh, if you wear your hair on the side, that means you're like Gen or something. But if, whatever the current, so like everybody wants to put their hair in the middle. I'm like, oh, that's conforming. That's getting everybody to conform into this imaginary world. But if you can kind of see it that way, because I'm really big into NDD and near-death experiences, because being an artist, we just kind of float around the ether. That's how I feel. So
that's the thing. Like, if you're not at a networking event, you literally are. You are. You're a submarine ready to surface.
Exactly. When you're in the flow state, right? So I feel like that's really our true essence, and that's really who we are. We come from love. We're not really a thing. We're all connected. And if you want to talk about reality, we are really connected. Like what I do to you can affect someone on the other side of the world that we've never met. Even just using the bandwidth on our computer right now affects someone else, because this is where I live right now. Yes. It's peak bandwidth time, so everybody's bandwidth is getting truncated. But people don't really think about that. Anyway, that's my nerdy talk. So this is a spiritual nerdy talk, but yeah, it's all a construct. If you look up, it's called impact theory. Yes.
Impact theory. Okay.
Yes, I freaking love that show, but he had this amazing person on there, and I can't remember his name, but they talked about how everything is an imaginary construct, and they went even deeper, and they talked about money and how that's all a construct, and I'm probably messing it up and not saying it as intelligently.
But Tom Bilyeu, if those want to look it up, and
yes, it blew my mind away about what I thought about reality. But yeah, some Neanderthal became self-aware and then or agreed with the Palladians. Oh God, maybe I'm taking it too far. The aliens, and that we're going to build this imaginary construct. So there's a whole group of people on YouTube who actually spell it out, and they talk about how when we sign our social security or we sign our name, we're signing away our actual real life, because
we are used as tools regardless of whether we want to be used or not. I mean, I tell my sister, she gives me shit all the time. It's like, why don't you have the Facebook app? I'm like, I'm going to use Google Chrome. I gave them permission to steal my identity. I did not give Facebook my identity.
Oh, you're not permission. On it. No, you are. You are. That's how I connected with you.
Okay. Right, but I use Chrome on my phone versus the Facebook app. And so, and her mind just was making sense of it. I'm like, they're going to steal your data anyway. I'm like, yeah, but I can choose who I let steal my data. Google's going to steal it anyway. I don't have to get Facebook.
Yeah, but again, all your data is imaginary.
Oh, exactly. And
our identities are imaginary.
There's plenty of other stuff getting stolen that we don't even know is being stolen.
So when I talked about NDEs, I brought that up because then you actually, when you're but you're allowed to believe whatever. I'm just going off of actual scientific data.
I get what you're trying to go for.
So, well, you can't really believe what people say when they come back, right? Because you don't know if they're telling the truth. But how is it that so many people, after coming back, after flatlining, like in the hospital flatlining, have the same freaking story? And you can have the similar story if you do astral projection.
My grandfather flatlined back in the day, and yeah, same kind of deal. It's just like you're gonna believe someone who's actually experienced it versus someone who's just making shit up.
Exactly. So
or doesn't have any alibis, just goes on. Well,
so how can all those people? It's a lot now because we brought a lot of people back. They just say we don't have an identity, that we realize that we're all connected, where we realize that that everything we did, it affects each other. Even that guy from that cult, when he died,
Jim Jones.
And I forgot. Said, "Good God, what have I done?" Said I was wrong, but that's one person that said on his deathbed he was wrong. So. Anyway, what I mean is that we don't really have an identity, that we're not really who we are. It blew my mind, that conversation. And so going back to goals though, honestly, and manifesting, if that's true, and that is true, and that's what I believe, that, that we are consciousness focused in our body, that we're actually not really here. This is not imaginary. These are avatars, is what I think. So
stop getting confused at our appearance.
This is really here. We are avatars, but like we're physical, like in the flesh. That's what I think. People are going to think I'm insane. I can't believe I'm talking about
I know
this
what you mean. I used to think that people were like interactive holograms.
But no, I think we were real, and vibrationally, we are vibration, and vibration's a very real thing that we can see. I know. In between it's matter, but the Hadron Collider, they discovered that there is actually substance to that empty space. So,
no, that's a good point, because we I'll see so many people who, like, when they, exactly with what you're going off of, when they see a cool inspirational speaker, like, I, for instance, was given this wonderful assignment years ago called, like, rate the TED Talk persona. And it's hard because they're all qualified. They're all doing stuff most the average Joes can't do. Right. And I was like, and it was really hard. I was like, it was a simple number, like find 5 great ones. Well, I'll be all here all day. What, how many good ones can I include? Can I have an honorable mention? Because there's going to be a ton to go through. But then finding the worst one was hard. So then I pretty much went with, hey, these guys are all qualified who I've listed here, but it's a conversation that I'm not crazy about, or maybe this person used their hands a weird way, or maybe they used one too many metaphors, got a little too cute for their own good near the end. That was the best I could do, because I was like, but overall, I mean, I can't blame any of them for doing what they did and how they did it. And they would do it a different way, because no one does the same thing the same way every time.
That's so true. Even going on stage, yeah.
So many people think, oh, they're programmed, they're going to do it exactly the same way. I'm like, well, no. Yes and no. They might surprise you.
Segueing that into manifestation, so you can create your future because you are co-creating with people. So you need to have, if you have that vision, then you have something to go with. And I think it's important to have goals. And I found something really simple that will help me feel like I achieved something, and it made me look forward to something. I was reading somewhere in a book, honestly. It's good to set vacation days or something fun for yourself as a reward. It might not, I don't remember what book I read this from, but so like if you set a vacation, or like, for example, this concert, there's lots of things happening this week for me, but I try to think of it as a fun thing. It could be a historical thing, but then you have something to look forward to. So then you have something to work towards. So I think goals are good, because once you reach them, you're going to want to set another one. It could be vacations though. I love that. Like just making your goal a vacation. I'm going to go on vacation in July, and we're going to go do this and that. And then you have that to look forward to. Something simple and small. And once you achieve it, then you know you can build on that feeling of achievement and keep going. And
yes.
That caused a wrinkle in my brain. So I don't know if it's true, but they said somewhere I read that if you have wrinkle, that's when you have a new thing that's solidified in your brain. So that stuck with me. I believe what I believe, which is that we continue on after we die, our consciousness. So then you'll see all of the effects that you've made. And like, I really do believe like the world is a stage and we are actors. So
we kind of are. We really are, especially with, like you say, our soul does kind of escape our body. It will at some point.
Yeah. So then like you don't have to make things so heavy,
No.
And it doesn't have
that's called
to be
being heavy-handed.
It doesn't have to be a dog-eat-dog world.
No, it doesn't.
And there's a group of entrepreneurial women that follow the school of thought. We are here. We are going to support each other. We're going to support each other for the greater good. And we're going to make win-win-win-win situations. I'm not the only female entrepreneur. I got it from another entrepreneur, but that school of thought for the women that have adopted it is, gosh, they're just so much more successful. And your business isn't going to fail. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you water a tree, it will grow and live forever.
Yes.
So we need to do that.
Until that one day where you forget.
That's how you create your legacy. Because then people generations down, I'm not trying. I mean, it would be great if I could create some kind. I don't even want people to remember my name. I just want people to a sense of well-being overall after I pass away. If I've influenced the greater good to have that sense of well-being that will go on forever, in essence, if it's financial, that would be great for my family. But I don't have kids, so maybe my nieces and nephews. But yeah, I think, we all do it though. We all we leave our fingerprint. I want my fingerprint, and I already know, like when I help a business, it doesn't just help that my client. It helps their family. It helps all kinds of things.
And it
helps their kids. And yeah, I'm so proud of it. That's just one example. When I write a song, and when I play musicians, when we come together in the studio, like that money, some of them have kids, that grows. And then I know that because of the people that I've learned from, and even my mom, just starting with that, and my mom and dad as entrepreneurs, that way of being a boss in a way. It's not really being a boss. You're in a support role. So people who think if you ever watch The Baby Boss, which I love to watch with my nephew, he's actually, he commands I'm just making it fun, but he's commanding in a way that is loving and caring. If you notice, at the end of the day, he is a nurturing boss. So you want to be that way. If you notice, Tony Hesh, it was such a great entrepreneur because he felt people that wanted to go to work at Zappos because they felt supported. They felt like they had a camaraderie there. They wanted to be there. You want people to want to be there, so you'll want to be there. So, again, win, 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 win. When you win, I win, everybody wins. And then it leads to more profitability. People don't call in sick. People don't leave. It costs like $20,000, $30,000 to train a person. It costs me money when a band member leaves, and then I have to take the time and the effort and
reshuffle. Yeah.
and teach them new music. So it made more sense. If you look at my feed on Instagram, everybody that was in my band came back. It wasn't like we ever really broke up, but I'm just structuring my music business in a way that it made more sense financially to me to do a work for hire type instead of having people come in and not practice.
Exactly.
And only you can't run a business when only 2 people are working all the time. It wasn't 2. I would say 3 or 4.
But either way, it's not even a matter of equality at this point. At this point, it's just okay, we gotta redirect who's doing what and just call it a different title,
Right. So yeah, and my label I'm not with them. I'm not renewing my contract. I didn't bring me to the spot where they could help me because I didn't finish the EP. So I didn't really, but I'm not using my name. And then the band name is on the contract. So I'm not with the band anymore. I could have renewed. I can still reach out to them. I'm not doing anything. So I'm just wasting money right now. If I continue to work with them. And there's no sense in making a marketing plan. There's no sense in doing any of that stuff just because I don't have anything to promote. I have my own music. But, my monthly listens have plummeted. So I need to rebrand myself. I need to take as much money as I can and use it for marketing and I'm not going to have the 100,000, obviously, but I can work in my little corner. And when you were talking about, there was one thing that you mentioned that there are a lot of successful musicians out there who are doing it full time. I'm just afraid to do it. I have tried to do it, but I didn't know where. I was a different person then. I definitely am more educated when it comes to the music business. It's never ending though.
But it's good that you're being mindful of how to be careful, and
you can corner your market, and you can find a way to find your audience. So I do have. And the great thing about Facebook, love it or hate it. And I know that there were reports that just came out that said that they by maybe 10% or something, by 10 over estimate your reach.
Right.
So, but there's still, doesn't matter when you look at my metrics and what I sent to the record company. My reach is 24 million just on Facebook alone. So even if that's by 10, I'm still in the millions. So if I had a little bit more money to invest, I could have a better reach. So I just need to circle back and it didn't make any business sense to do what I was doing. Now, if I had an EP out and we were practicing every week, yes. I mean, if we had a show every week somewhere in Texas or somewhere at all, it makes sense. Because then I would be breaking even, and that's okay. Or to be at a little bit of a loss, just maybe 20, 30%. I do have apps on my phone to, check where I'm financially. I'm very, very negative. So I have to also do another side job and delivery job, just to break even. And I'm okay with that. And I have credit debt and stuff. So, but, do all the side jobs that you can find. Try not to be in debt. Try to break even with any business. There's ways to make money online. I'm just not putting my time I guess what I should do every 6 months or every month is
everything is temporary half the time anyway,
Yeah, but evaluate like where am I spending my time, because I know it could be reallocated in a way that's making money. And I don't ask myself this question enough. One of a very, very successful entrepreneur who was, I just sent her a message and she was willing to meet with me on Zoom for like 15 minutes. And I know that other people pay thousands of dollars just to talk to her. And she told me, you want to make money making moves. So like if you're spending your time doing this and it makes $30 an hour, because I build websites, how can you find a client that will be willing to pay you 100 for that 30? And, how can you, so I don't think that way yet because I'm not where she is, but I need to train myself because it's all a mental thing. It's hugely mental. It's hugely about perspective and how you see yourself.
Exactly.
So I need to ask.
If it's not what you want to do with your time, then yeah, you just gotta shuffle around. Altogether, so you got a few new EPs coming out, I think you said offline.
Oh yeah, so an EP is like a 3 or 4 song release, and then an LP is 6, and then like a record has 9. So
I'm glad you classified that. I actually didn't know that. So
yeah, so
it's good to know.
I have 3 songs, and I could release it now, but I really wanted to do 4.
Wait till it's actually ready instead of.
Yeah, and all the songs have already been written with another company that I'm actually an artist on. It's Tunedly, TUNEDLY, tunedly.com, and you can hire me on that app and website. But I hired all the musicians with that company, and I made a demo.
Definitely post that link.
So I hired all the musicians in that company, and it's really inexpensive just to make a demo, but it wouldn't sound like the way that I wanted, because in the studio we could bounce ideas off of each other, but I did it during COVID. So
that's pretty good.
I'm really big on doing what you can with what you have when you have what you have to make what you want. I added more to that. But so it was COVID, and I had all this free time because I wasn't running around town trying to make a film or do a commercial or whatever. Yeah, I was writing music. And then when it was done, I presented it. But I knew in my gut, actually, before getting anybody's input, that it didn't have that camaraderie studio feel that you can get working with a producer, working with all the musicians, and saying, this little part, we need to put this here, and we need to, this, maybe we're here, we can have some backup singing. And like, I didn't have that. I loved what we did, but it wasn't the same energy. So,
if it's not ready, it's not ready.
Yeah. So I took all the songs and we recorded, and I worked with the producer I heard I worked with who recorded Fighting Love, Kefir, at Evil Still Studios in Austin. And he's still working with me. And, I have 1 song left, and I'm just trying to save the money and also pay off some debt at the same time. So I paused on recording that last song, but we're pretty much done with all the other 3 songs. I just need to pay for mastering. So yeah, it's a money thing for me. And I probably should do a fundraising thing. I've been thinking about it, talking about it for years, but I like the control that I have over my own music and doing what I want. And going back to what you said about, are there some parts? Yeah, it is a co-writing experience. And I don't love every part of every song. And I don't love every song. It takes me time. Sometimes I listen to it the first time and I love it. There's one song that I loved the first time I heard it, which is just coming out. It's called Tangle Me Up. And that's all these songs I wrote, some of these songs I wrote 7 years ago, and they're finally coming to life. But that first iteration of the recording,
got a head start. So yeah, you're cool with waiting it out.
Well, it's just where I am financially is helped me be more stable. Living in LA was very tough, honestly. Like, I was Ubering all the time, and that's where I met this lady who owned a real estate company, and she just like, you can have whatever you want, you just need to make as much money as you need. I was like, well, I'm struggling. So when I moved back to Texas, it was just a whole different, it's a different feeling. Like, the hustle's different here.
Nice.
So it just I was able to
Don't ever do the same kind of hustle.
Had this, I mean, and Ubering is better now, but it wasn't very good here. So anyway, I had to get a job, and I'm grateful for the job I have because I have been able to keep it for several years, and that's really helped me have a stable income to pay.
I'm the same way with you. I have a wonderful day job or shall I say, graveyard shift that has helped me just focus on doing stuff that actually makes me happy instead of, when's my next meal?
Yes, and that's not a fun way to live as an artist, because then it becomes more about
pretty much
work.
Fed up with the world. It's like throw a guy a bone, and when it comes down to you don't have to worry about, hey, work's due or not. It's like, yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, so that's why I left LA, because I didn't know if I could pay rent, and if I didn't drive enough. There were people that weren't sleeping. Like, they would just drive, but you can't, your app won't let you drive like over a number of hours now. But anyway, I'm not Ubering anymore. I'm doing a different delivery service. I love it. And
recommend totally. Cause
I'm doing Amazon Flex, and I effing love it because you know where you're going, you know how much you're going to get paid. And I've been doing it for several years now, and if you do it long enough, there are perks, like you can get reserved blocks of time. But I like knowing where I'm going to be. And I used to do, and I did post this, I used to do grocery delivery. Another really great app, if you can find any catering apps, the catering ones are great if you can deliver. So every city has different catering apps. If you can deliver, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, have you ever been at a catering interview where they wanted to interview 5 people all at once?
Oh no,
they did that one time, and I was like, pass.
No, it's just a gig job. Yeah, it wasn't like that. Like an app, a gig job, like a side hustle kind of thing. And they do have the onboarding, but it's like 30 people in the room, and then you give them your ID, just like Uber, just like, all of the other gig economy apps. But
that's good.
But if you can find, there's tons of websites that have legit jobs on there. But if you can do the catering one, the catering one, then you go deliver to like a big conference, they'll give you like $100 tip because it's on the business card. So if you can get one of those, but the best I've ever gotten is $20, but that's fine. Like, it only took me like 30 minutes to go get food and then go deliver it to the office, and then I get money. And sometimes you'll meet like a cool receptionist, and you can talk about your music, and she'll actually like pull it up on her computer. So, because it's like usually when I come, it's during lunch. So everybody's like, really happy to see me. That's another cool thing about delivering. I delivered your COVID Amazon Flex packages, and the rates were higher, and everybody was so happy to see me. Yesterday I had a really great run though, because the homeowners were really super, super duper nice. It was dark, but it's not always that way. Sometimes it's very far few between, but there's some really scary, like, Amityville kind of houses in the middle of nowhere. And their instructions say, deliver to the front door. I'm like, I'm not going to your front doorstep.
Yeah, that gets rough.
But the cool thing about the app now, because I've seen it grow, is you can text people. So you can say, hey, I'm putting it by your gate.
Right. This is a no-go. No enter.
Yeah, I'll just say, hey, your package is here. It's by the gate. You can come get it, because like freaking nobody is around. Nobody's going to take your package. Mm-hmm. There's nobody for miles. But so that's what it's like to deliver in Texas. Anyway, I'm way off subject. But yeah, do side hustles, save your money, try to put it in places where it makes sense. And if it's not working, that's the cool thing about entrepreneurship or it's just doing art. Like, if it's not working, don't stick with that thing that's not working too long. Exactly. You have to pivot. And then find a better use of your time and money. Totally. And I'm learning because I'm definitely not where all these people who gave me amazing advices. I need to ask myself that question. What am I doing with my time? How can I make more money with what I'm doing with this skill? Or should I even keep doing it?
Totally. If it doesn't feel like it's actually organized or taken off, then let's move.
Yeah, you gotta be willing to get rid of a lot of things. Actually, over and over through the last few years, in moving from state to state, I've gave up almost everything, and I only had like enough to fit in my tiny compact car, and I've done that several times. Right now, I have a lot. I'm pretty comfortable where I am. Probably too comfortable to. Sometimes I wonder, am I too comfortable? Because that's also another thing about being successful is it is being uncomfortable, doing things that you know is right for you. So I just ask, am I too comfortable?
If it's too easy, then it probably is.
Yeah, well, I haven't had a place this nice or enjoyed where I lived in I think ever. Every apartment I lived, something happened. When I first moved to Austin and I had my first own place, and you wouldn't think that, but apparently where I live, my rent was only $600. Can you believe how cheap that is? And I would come home and there'd be a SWAT team in front, and I'd be like, "What's going on?" And I'd ask the cops. Plus, the cop was cute. He's like, "Oh, well, the girl downstairs underneath you is selling meth," and I was like, "Oh, and all kinds of other drugs." But that happened more than one time. So this is the first place I actually feel comfortable
describing this encounter.
There's no cops, SWAT teams.
SWAT. I see
SWAT
what you did
teams,
there. SWAT teams going after squats.
there are no SWAT teams, thank God. And yeah, I'm pretty happy where I live right now. And don't get me wrong, I want to live in that dream house.
Didn't happen right away, but it's there finally.
That 10-year goal. I do want to have multiple houses. I do want to have a house in Malibu, maybe like one of those big old motherfucking mansion, all white, modern, maybe with a Tesla parked in the front, and a and a studio that's not attached to the house, a recording studio. Nice. That's my dream. But then I was like, maybe I should just have my studio in Santa Monica, like far away from the house, so that I don't want to go home and take a nap or whatever. I don't know. I don't, so I could have a business and I could be, it's so expensive though to run a business in California, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
It is also less expensive to run a business in Texas. So that's another perk of being here. And there's no state taxes. Please don't come to Austin though. We're too crowded.
Right.
It is like there, I live by the freeway. It is always traffic now. I'm like, dude, this is like LA. This is ridiculous. It's 8:00 at night. There's not supposed to be traffic on this freeway, but there is.
But here you are, and you've survived.
Yes, I can say that one of my, somebody wrote an article about me. I can't remember where, but that I have grit. Yeah, I have grit. And I think as an entrepreneur, if you have grit, then you'll be able to, you're just stick with what you got. And if it's not working again, what you're doing, then pivot.
So out of all your collaborators who you've been fortunate to hang out with, how many are on your roster right now that you're working with? It's 5 on the older version of the band, and 2 of them have moved off. So you got like 3 who are.
Well, I don't know if they've moved off. I just will be making phone calls to see when they're available for a gig. That's basically. Okay. I haven't written anyone off. But the cool thing about this is that when you're in a band, you have some sense of loyalty, and I don't have to do that because there are some people, when they thought my band broke up, recommended some really great R&B players. And I really would love to work with them because I saw their work, and they're not only just really amazing, but they're like really easy to work with, and they would work with you. Like, that's what they said. So I'm like, they don't want to work with me. So I might reach out to them. There's on this EP, I'm very proud to say, I feel like I'm getting closer to getting my goal of getting awards or whatever. Well, I've already won an award, but not a lot of people have heard about it. But everybody's heard about the Grammys. So I have a Grammy nominated producer who did master one of the songs, and Ian Shear, and then I I'm trying to set up a studio date to get another Grammy nominated singer on. And then there's someone else for my next project who's Grammy nominated. So I'm just so much closer to reaching my goals.
You're weighing which of the dominoes you want to have fall and which ones.
Yeah. But I don't honestly right now, the only person that's constant as far as the band is going, is my producer. And, I think I for sure will have my same backup singer, but as far as all the other, what's really great and also cool to say is that even my backup singer, though, they're all in other bands. They're all out there gigging. They're all out there doing other projects. So when I'm ready, they might not be available, and I'm okay with that. So I do have a nice list of.
We'll return after these messages.
Hello and welcome to Culture Shocked, the pop culture podcast brought to you by four aging millennials and our outdated opinions. Join us every Tuesday as we discuss movies, TV, games, and even music, new and old.
Dude, what do you think you're doing?
Are you seriously trying to record a promo without us right now?
Well, yeah.
Dude, you can't just do the promo by yourself. Who's gonna listen to that?
Yeah, and you probably haven't even told them that we're a pop culture podcast where we always agree on everything. For instance, the Sam Raimi trilogy, easily being the best of the Spider-Man movies.
No. But I think we can all agree that Jaws is a classical masterpiece.
Nope, don't like that. But we do all agree that the sequel trilogy of Star Wars is the best in the Skywalker saga, right, guys?
That comment is so ridiculous. I don't even know where to
Anyways, that'll do it from all of us here at Culture Shock. Thanks for listening.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
We let things pile up in the DVR, we add them to our queues, we wait for the DVDs and Blu-rays. We time shift. The Time Shifters Podcast. Sci-fi, horror, fantasy, superheroes, comedy, action, film, television, maybe some not-so-current events. Find us on iTunes or at timeshifterspodcast.com.
Cool thing about Blind Knowledge is we are in multiple countries. We are worldwide all across the globe. We are in the US, we are in the UK, we are in Canada, Germany, India, Japan. We're in Australia, y'all. BlindKnowledge.com. Now back to the feature presentation.
People that I really want to work with, I don't know if I can afford them. That's the only thing. So I don't have anyone that I'm writing with on a regular basis anymore, but I'll probably just go back to Toonly and make a new demo for my next project. Good. Or there's actually another company, I haven't worked with them, so I won't say their name, but they have you can work with Grammy Award winning people and you pay $200 a month. And you could pick people from their roster, and
that's a good deal.
They get paid salary, which I actually want to find out how I can get on there. They get paid salary, so It's such a cool. I think they kind of stole the idea. Well, maybe there are other Toonlies out there, but it's a very structured like Toonly. Except the only thing is everybody gets paid salary, and they're doing that full time.
I take it you've seen 20 Feet from Stardom.
Yes, the backup singer.
For those who don't know, it was a 2013, 2014 documentary about, backup dancers who had made a living doing that. They would tour with very well-known names.
Was it, I felt like, where there were backup singers in there too? Backup singers, right? It was backup singers.
Yes, it was a documentary. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you said backup dancers. I'm like, I don't remember any backup dancers. I remember the backup singers.
Did I say dance? I meant singers. Okay.
Yes,
singers,
of course
guys,
I watched
for those
it.
who heard it differently, or if I screwed up and said it a different way, sorry.
Of course I've watched it because I'm a singer, and I don't know. Again, that's the same thing where I'm at, right? They're probably afraid of going to the next step. Like, you'd have to quit your touring job that pays you money to do music, and that'd be a tough place, especially if you've been touring with someone, I don't know, well, just with someone Billboard breaking, because a lot of them were. Like, right. That would be tough for me it'd be the same thing as me wanting to leave my job. Like, am I willing to do that? Am I willing
want to? Yeah.
Yeah, because then I'm going to have to go back to singing in small bars and not see the big audience that they're pulling in. And do I have what it takes? Like, it's all those things. But again, it's all about getting started and just breaking away and doing that. And if it were the case, if you talk to someone, I don't remember what book it is, but basically what they say is if you're planning to do that, you need, and I'm not there and anywhere, but anyways, the best way to do it through someone else's advice is save 6 months to a year of your salary and then leave your job and then go pursue your passions. And if you have family and kids and you have a very tight budget, then you don't have what they call in the financial world a kicker. So you don't have that money to put back for the next month. And that makes it very tough. Right. And if your credit's shit and you can't get a business loan, you're a little bit screwed for the next 7 years. That's what happened to me. But my 7-year mark of bad luck is ending next year. So my credit score should be back.
You got this, girlfriend.
Should be fine. And I could maybe get a business loan.
I'll just go ahead and say it. You got this in the bag. You got it.
Awesome. And then, and I just learned that from my parents and also from Asian entrepreneurs in my family. So, but I learned from my best friend and also from other people in our circle how to invest money. And that really made a huge impact. But the way that I have invested, I can't get any of that money out. So, I shouldn't use it. I should just ignore it. It's really not that much. But when you are negative in your bank account and only having $100, it feels really great. So yeah,
it's so hard to put away though too, because sometimes you might not get anything from it. Other times,
well, that's why you shouldn't just save your money, because the interest rates for saving your money in a savings account, and plus where we are,
they're insane.
It's really, really, really low. Like, you're not going to make any money. Like back in the day, you could get like 8%, like 0.8%, which is almost a whole percent. You're not gonna. You want to think about compound interest and ETFs when you're investing. And I'm not a financial person, so disclaimer, but ETFs, anything that you can invest in the Fortune 500 with ETFs is the way to go. And so yeah, I have just a little bit, but that's better than nothing. And I probably will die. Well, no, I won't, because honestly, we're doing this pilot and my financial situation might change, but there's always a promise of the next project and you hope that it kicks off. But that's when you talk about vacations, my vacation is my next project, and whether or not it'll explode.
Right. That determines the next course of action.
So when I pick up a project, though, it's really fun because I get to nurture it and be a part of that and be with the team. And oh my God, this next project that I'm working with, all the people that I'm meeting in music, the people who are involved with it are very high up there in the totem pole compared to where I am. Well, they've been doing it for the one that is ahead of the whole thing he's been doing it for decades. He's the top dog in my mind. But everybody is so amazing, so super talented. And And you can tell when you've done something right and when you're working with the right people, because that's how I feel. I feel like it's so cohesive and that we're a really good team working together. Like all the people, I'm just really amazed at how talented everyone is, and I'm not the smartest person in the room. And then I'm super grateful that I'm not the smartest person in the room and don't have the most skills. The people that I'm working with are very, very skilled and very talented, and I'm super duper grateful to be just a part of this project. And it could be history making. It could be. If it is, then we are making history right now. So, let's hope. And then the other thing is a news show, and it's on public broadcast, or just like Wayne's World. That's the best way I can explain it. Every city has their own public broadcast, and it's called Austin, Texas Musicians News, and we're just talking about and the music industry. I feel like because of South by that's going on right now, it does affect everyone. So people do look at Austin as a music place, bringing you the news, my face, and a cast of other people on there.
I really dig Spectrum News. Pretty good.
I don't watch TV, and it's really funny.
It's actually pretty common. There's so many who don't work in.
Yeah. So here's
what area they work in.
Here's so exciting. I went on Instagram this morning. I was working last night, but a lot of my Asian friends, even I had a show called XO Dating. I went by my real name, but it's on YouTube if y'all want to watch it. And Russell
sounds awesome.
Russell Fung was on the Oscars last night, so he was one of my cast members. I produced that whole shebang, and I also had a lot of people help me, and they were amazing. Nice. Also, but yeah, so he was on TV, and not just him. Just I want to shout him out because I worked with him, and he was awesome to work with. He's been in big projects, but he was at the Oscars on the stage, and then lots of other people on my Instagram feed who are Asian. So they were not watching the Oscars; they were freaking in it. And I don't watch TV, but I have done extra work. I have been on TV a few times. Just nobody remembers me. It's fine. But yeah, I'd rather be on TV than watch it. And honestly, I don't watch a lot of movies anymore either. I don't have time. I am doing
making use of your time, which is good.
Yeah. Or if I'm not, I'm resting. And my idea of resting is the same as my mom's. Like she just lays in bed, like because she's. I don't know if they're retired, but she used to be like everywhere all the time, doing everything, and that's kind of like how I am. But I don't. Now that I'm older too, I'm very, very, very selective with who I hang out with, and I hang out with mostly myself.
Me, myself, and I. It's a great combo.
Fortunately and unfortunately, making art for me it's not for everyone. The beginning stages of creating is a very solo project. Even the post-production part is very solo.
Exactly.
And that's the parts that people don't see. Like I'm always working, so.
Yeah, I mean.
The production people can come and help. I mean, I do. If you show up to my production, I'll definitely put you to work. You'll have fun. And time will fly by really fast.
Sweet.
But you'll be tired, so tired, like being at the restaurant at the end of the day. And you'll get a real good night's sleep.
Nice.
Working on production work, if you're hands-on, is very exhausting, but can be very fun and rewarding. And the friendships that you make on set, if you're on a healthy set. I have been on an unhealthy set. It was actually a lot of kids. It was a major television. I won't say the name of it. It was a major television production. I was an extra, but man, this guy was yelling at the kids the whole time. He was upset and angry, and the kids were mean. But I don't think it was the kids. I think it was the environment, and you can't have a director. You can't have that. So anyway,
it happens.
And the best sets that I've been on. It doesn't matter if you're the executive producer. It doesn't matter if you're paying for it. It doesn't matter who you are. Everybody picks up something, helps each other out with everything. Is very thoughtful.
You meet some of your best friends on some of the worst productions ever.
Yeah, or is very well. My favorite productions are when people are thoughtful from top to the bottom. And the bigger productions, honestly, the big stars, they can't talk to you. They're not supposed to. They'll get sued.
Yeah, I feel you on that, because I was on some of those non-union productions, like up in Dallas and Austin, as well as just
awesome. Yeah, so they're not supposed to talk to you.
Yeah, and you would see so many, and it's like, okay, we can do this because it's a non-union state. Doesn't apply on a major motion picture. Like, if you come up to the lead, you're going to be slapped and told to leave. You're not,
oh well, no,
maybe not slapped, but you're going to be told, hey.
They should tell you in the green room or the holding area that you're not supposed to talk to them. But
it's
really
the crew
should be nice. Like,
the crew should be nice, and
your PA needs to be your bestie, like during the whole shoot, or not your bestie, but just like they always ask
coordinators were pretty cool.
If you need anything, they usually just hang out with you and talk to you while you're waiting.
My best experience has actually been on an episode of Cheaters. That's how ridiculous.
Really?
Yeah. Playing a maniac with a samurai sword. It's
Wait, you were the maniac with the samurai sword?
Yeah, I was the guy doing the cheating. It was fun, but
that's fun.
Easy way to make $200.
You made real fake television, reality television.
And that's the thing. So many people don't realize that reality TV is,
I didn't make the cut, but I was auditioned and I cried because it was for Khloe's Kardashian's fitness thing, and I cried on the call, so I didn't make it. Maybe they thought I was crazy. I'm usually very emotionally stable, but they asked me. I've never had abs, right? So that's really what I almost had abs like right here last year, but then I got sick or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it was the allergy thing. I wasn't getting any sleep. Anyway, they asked me, when have you ever really truly loved your body? And I'm like, never. And I cried. But I could have been on her show. But anyway, I didn't make the cut. But
it could be snappy.
during that time, no, they were really nice. Honestly, it was just how I felt about myself. And it's so funny. I look back when I was younger and I'm like, damn, I was skinny. Why am I so mean to myself?
People who are even just taking on projects that clearly they're doing just because their agent has said, hey, you want to stay relevant, do the easy thing, do a reality show.
I mean, if you really hate it, I would do reality. There's a lot of things that I probably would do. If there was a shampoo bottle or whatever, I probably would promote it. But for me, my personal fine line is morality. So like, if morally I don't feel comfortable doing it, robbing, stealing, murdering, let's just say.
I hope no one does.
But I won't do it. But if it's being stupid on screen, I might do it. If it's being, I don't know, throwing a pie in my face, I probably would do it. That sounds like fun, actually. If you're gonna pay me SAG rates to have a pie thrown in my face a couple times, I probably would do it. Not like consecutively every day. I would not do that.
Right. But make sure to spill it out. Yeah, a little extra detail. So you've scored a few movies that have come out. One that came out last year that was like a festival and Lost in Terror Dimension, and you got to score that one.
Yes. Okay. So it was a tricky trick. I wasn't the only trick. I love it. I wasn't the only one. So that was my bestie. She made that film with our mutual friend Kat Leto, cool. And it was 7 years in the running. It was very guerrilla style filming. So it definitely, we didn't have the red camera. Style. They didn't have, and I wouldn't.
For those who don't know, guerrilla is when can be anything like experimental filming without a permit.
Yeah, you just grab a camera and record.
There is a proper, much like every style, there is a proper way to do it.
That was the thing. It was new to her. I had already been in a part of a few films with brand new filmmakers, saw the mistakes they were making. I also realized I made a lot of mistakes in those because I was too vocal about what was going wrong. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want to do that to my best friend. So I wasn't in it. And she did ask me several times, but I know that I would have ended up kind of taking it over. And I didn't want to do that.
Yeah. That is rough though, because that will stay with you because you're just like, Yeah, and that's where our loyal friendship.
And I knew the budget wasn't there to do what she wanted because I knew what I could see her vision. Mm-hmm. And if you take the time to watch the film, and if you in your mind before you watch it, like imagine how well this movie would have been made if it had a $2 million budget or something. I mean, we probably could have done really great with even $500,000, just with the way
that's what sucks though, the whole what if game.
It. But honestly, when I saw it before it was completely done, because it took so long that the people who originally were in it were like, this is taking too long. And they were, it's LA. So like everybody's working at 5 projects at one time, and some of them pay and some of them don't. And when the other ones pay more money, people have to leave the ones that are not paying. That's what I talked about pivoting, you have to be where the money is. So that's what they did. But here I am, not living the LA hustle. I had made a window. It was before I started my EP. So my mind was somewhere else. I was like, okay, COVID had just ended. I can give you some time because nobody's asking me to do anything right now. COVID just ended. I'm not going to go in the studio yet. I hadn't started my band. I hadn't met all these people. I felt like the timing was perfect for her. So I could come in, and I didn't score it. Someone else had already scored it. But he didn't want to do the rest of the film. 7 years, long time. When you think about these films that had the budget like Lord of the Rings, of course they want to stay on. That's where the money is. Like, you're getting paid like really good just to do what you love for 7 years or however long years.
Yeah.
Actually, she did pay me, but very, I didn't ask her. I didn't give her a rate. Like, if I were at that point in time, I would have charged her $100 an hour just because I have decades of experience, but I didn't do that. I didn't charge her. I just let her pay me whatever. She's my best friend. And honestly, we've been at this since the beginning, I feel like, of our journey. And if you look at my red carpet photos, if there's a woman on there, red carpet,
she's probably in it.
Yeah. So like, she knows how to work the red carpet. When you go, you have to have a certain personality. You can't stay with your friend the whole time. You have to network, hand out your cards. You got to make those connections, make the time work. So I was like, well, let me finish it. So I did write some parts. I think I could be remembering this wrong, but you have to set a due date on Amazon to launch.
Yeah.
So I had to make that deadline.
It's got to be on the money. It cannot be an estimate.
Yeah. So I had to meet that deadline. So I had a window time. I worked on it day and night tirelessly. After work, I would just immediately start working on editing, writing music. I didn't write every part again. There's just the piano part, the scary part. I wrote that. I didn't write all the music. It is stock, but we have rights to it. Some of it's stock.
You've done all the paperwork.
And we did actually get a concession from YouTube, and I contested it. But she's also studying to be a lawyer, so I showed them all the proof. Like I literally opened the film and showed them like this is the only parts where the song is from this frame to this frame where I didn't write it. Or it wasn't the other dude's theme music. So he wrote the theme music for it. And then the scary piano scenes I wrote. And then everything else, especially the end credit, where the big music is, where it's composed with the orchestra. That's not me. I wish it was me, but it wasn't.
I'll pretend
that's stock. And then there were very little special effects. Actually, there were a few frames of special effects when I got the film that were unfinished, where they didn't put the dots in the right place. So it wasn't tracking. Like when he puts his hand out like this, he puts out his hand to stop people. Several occasions, the trackball was in the wrong place, or the dots where you track it. I used Adobe After Effects. And I don't know if I had to take another frame and put it on top of another frame. And then I repositioned the dots so that each tiny frame would show that it's actually pointing to the right place. It was very tedious, but I had learned how to do special effects when I was very young. It's called rotoscoping, by the way.
Yes.
This was so much easier to do in Adobe After Effects. Even though I did do it in a way that was frame by frame, they let you tween effects. Because I'm such a nerd, I taught myself how to do that a long time ago. Anyway, it was so much easier.
Great process, right?
So, so I picked it up pretty fast. And then there are many, many scenes that so when I watched it, you won't know, but you could tell when they started the project, it wasn't finished. And so then there were a lot of scenes that needed special effects that didn't have special effects that I added to it. And then there were scenes that had special effects near the end that were in the wrong place. Like it wasn't on their hand. It wasn't shooting at the right part of their body, things like that. I had to do frame by frame and completely redo. There were sound effects for scenes that were pretty bad. I asked them for new fairy scenes because we didn't have it synced to the right mouth movements. So I had to actually for that scene I added some pretty cool special effects to that particular fairy scene in the dark. And then instead of showing her mouth, we showed the special effect instead of her mouth moving. If you're my friend and I love you and we have a really good, respectful relationship, she does a lot for me too. And so I will do anything for you. And that's where I was with her. And we finished it. And then I was already on Film Freeway doing another project. I'm not going to say the festival, but I got to judge a bunch of music videos. So I knew about Film Freeway already. So it's on one of the panels. It's just all remote, by the way. There's nobody actually sitting, these are all real organizations that are on Film Freeway, but the one that I was a part of as a judge was remote. And anyway, I knew about Film Freeway. I was like, let's submit to Film Freeway. They already had their own particular list and some of them were already in Film Freeway. So that's just anyone that's making a indie film, you can submit on Film Freeway. And the thing about it is there's some pros and cons. The pros is don't submit to every single one. Every single festival has their own set of rules. And not all of them
looking for that. They're looking for people who are contributing to warring festivals, and they might even just say, hey, thanks for the $50, but we're not going to screen it because you're screening it.
So make sure they're real. Make sure they're real.
Screen it under a different name just to be safe. Different poster. Yeah.
And they have an office. And the cool thing is that we all lived in LA. So all we have to do is just look at the names and then look at somebody. And the cool thing about I love about Facebook is that you can see who's friends of friends. Not everyone hides their friends. As far as the Film Freeway is concerned, you want to make sure it's a legitimate festival. That's all.
Actual place.
It could be a tiny, tiny one. Like they could just have it in their school auditorium. I'm not saying that that's what we submitted to. Some of the ones I looked at that we won that I was like, oh yeah, this one's really good. So between the three of us, we could see, so we lived in LA, so we knew the buildings that they were holding it in. Like, oh yeah, no, they have
you
that.
You could scout the location before submitting.
We would know that it would be there. I don't live there anymore, but I like, oh no, I've been there for some kind of event.
You're like, it's on there, but it's not open.
Yeah, or like I Ubered, so like I know where a lot of these buildings are. So I was like, oh no, that's a real place. Like, that's not, they didn't just make that up. And there would be pictures of the actual events they have. Like if they're a film festival, they'll have like a screening. They'll have screening parties, which are fun. So you want to look for those kinds of clues. And then a lot of times they'll have an office or an office number and you can call and ask them questions. We didn't do that. It takes too much time. We just added a good list. And then we submitted.
The publicist won't even know the info, so I'm glad you saved yourself.
Yeah. There were a few that were questionable that they sent me, but I didn't help them with the submission process. I built the website, so if you want to go to it, it's lostintterradimension.com. It has everybody's info on it. You can watch it on Amazon. And we did win a lot of film festival submissions for it. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, it's a love story and it's sci-fi
romance. Yeah.
Yeah. And about going in and out of dimensions. And there's this evil overlord in a way that's chasing them. And
whatever kind of overlord is.
And I'm not going to give it away, but it is a love story at the end. But there's action in it, and I helped take that, and it was a win for me just because it felt fucking good to help my friends who have been working on it for 7 years.
I'm happy for you.
Take it to the finish line, and then also, I know it has a cult following. Like if you're bored one night and you're looking for something online, this is a fun movie to watch.
Totally. I guarantee you'll probably be up on even Vudu, Roku, Tubi. They love those kind of obscure.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, it could have a cult following and it could have a sequel. People
are looking for stuff that's just
Like if you're
sacrifices,
into like obscure things that are done pretty well,
it didn't focus on being expensive,
Yeah, like it's a fun movie that Lost in Terror Dimension has a nostalgia to it. But we did get a few write-ups online from movie critics that love that kind of thing. So they magically found them and they did give us good reviews. And I agree with those reviews because it is, it's a cult classic kind of following, kind of like it could have been shot in the 80s. The way people come together to help complete a project is such a beautiful thing. And that's what I love about music too. To see the end project is so rewarding. And that's why I love art projects so much. Making a film, writing a song, putting together an event, all those things and all my skills can help put those things together. And it's rewarding to see everybody smile and say, look, we did this together. And like, I've had those moments and that's a win-win-win-win.
Well, it's been a delight having you on here, and
thank you for having me.
Great having, once again, just another natural storyteller who's all about just organic material and keeping at it and realizing how to balance it and all the other endless material to where ultimately a decision must be made and you're going to continue to break through it. But
thank you.
I'm glad that we had this chat because altogether we're mainly just, this is just healthy reflection time.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening. It's a